Hi everyone, my name is Laura McHenry. I'm going to start with a really quick introduction of myself. So I attended Penn State and received my bachelor's degree in agricultural and extension education. I'm currently pursuing my master's in the ACTE program with a focus in STEM concentration. I teach 9th and 10th grade science at Donegal High School. This is my second year there, and I also get to advise the Minithon Club. Outside of school, I really enjoy anything outside, so hiking, biking, and I like to do some nature photography. So after going through this week's module, the two ways that I think students learn science the best is when they can develop an inquiry-based approach to problem solving, and then also having them understand the way they learn through kind of like a metacognitive approach. So with the first one, just making sure students have the toolkit necessary to be able to ask questions, so like teaching them how to ask questions, how to address problems, how to come up with solutions, how to test those solutions. So basically kind of like the scientific method, but just having them be curious. And with instilling that metacognitive approach, so just kind of going through different processes with students of teaching them the way that they can address problems and making them active participants in their own learning progression is really important. So the three barriers to science, I think the biggest one is misconceptions. So after going through this week's readings, I previously didn't realize how much of a barrier misconceptions can be to learning science. So the two ways that you can kind of address that in the classroom is doing pre-assessments or just having an open discussion with students of like, why do you think this occurs, or like, what's the cause and effect relationship to this, or how does this relate to something we've already talked about, and then addressing any misconceptions early on prior to moving into the new content. Metacognition, this is something that is lacking a little bit from my classroom, so giving students the door to allow for self-assessment, allowing them to be active participants and components of their own learning. So just kind of passing on that ownership to students as they progress through the learning process. The last one's being active learners. In science, students need to be able to ask questions, they need to be able to problem solve with each other, collaborate, come up with solutions. So just making sure you are like having that like open door for students to like feel comfortable enough to ask those questions, and to like talk ways through different solutions. So in my classroom, I try and facilitate discussions that kind of engage students' prior knowledge as much as possible. So like I said, just relating anything back to things that they already know, addressing those misconceptions whenever necessary so they don't eventually fall back on them. And then I love to create analogies, especially in biology, that seems to really stick with my students. Giving them the opportunity to explore the relationship that can exist among different things. And the way I kind of do that is just with labs. But after going through this week's module, I think it is important that I make labs a little bit more inquiry-based, so more so where students are asking the questions and kind of working through different solutions instead of having that step-by-step instruction sheet that I'm so used to just giving them. And I would also like to incorporate different opportunities for students to monitor their own growth, like I already mentioned. So my STEM perspective is definitely a coordination of all four of the different disciplines. I don't think that you can achieve an overall STEM program without incorporating all four of them. I think that they're all related to each other. Even if you were to just focus on one of them, I think that you would be like, the other ones are also necessary. So like for science, I'm constantly using different technologies. So whether it's like lab tools, engineering, they're constantly kind of building things and constructing different ways to problem solve. And math is also used. So I think that no matter which like discipline you're choosing, they all kind of relate to each other. It's kind of difficult to just choose one like the article already mentioned, but if I had to, it would definitely be the coordination across disciplines. Alright, thank you, and I'm excited to learn more about STEM in this course.